We have to ask the obvious question. Who is defending Christians today? Well, today we're seeing a whole bunch of unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable unions formed in the pits of hell right in front of our eyes. Antifa, who claims to hate Nazis, are protesting alongside Palestinians with obvious ties to Hitler during World War II, and they're even finding copies of Mein Kampf inside Gaza. Gays are also protesting along those Palestinians, and those Palestinians are wondering if those gays are really fairies and throw them off buildings to find out if they can really fly. In the meantime, Biden is meeting with Z in San Francisco. We know Joe is going to enrich Z, and Z is known to be persecuting Muslims in China. I mean, this is all like a three-way stab in the back, making deals kind of a thing. And in the meantime, Joe is giving Vladimir Zelensky billions to defend democracy in Ukraine. That's after he banned all opposing political parties and closed down some of the largest major churches in Ukraine. And in the meantime, we have Vice President Harris, who is spearheading a campaign to protect Palestinians demonstrating in the streets chanting "Death to America." After a historic rise in shootings at Christian churches and schools, Biden announced where he stands. And this is on November 14th, 2023. Fact sheet. Biden-Harris administration takes action to address alarming rise of reported anti-Semitic and Islamophobic events at schools and on college campuses. In the introduction to his announcement, President Biden wrote, "We cannot stand by and stand silent in the wake of anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents. We must, without equivocation, denounce anti-Semitism. We must also, without equivocation, denounce Islamophobia." You really think Biden wrote that himself? Anyway, that's the report. Harris announced, "Taking on hate is a national priority. Today, POTUS and I are announcing the country's first national strategy to counter Islamophobia. This action is the latest step forward in our work to combat a surge of hate in America." Well, in all these particular cases, we need to look at one factor that's missing. Not one word, not one mention about the reoccurring problem of shootings in and around Christian churches. Well, the White House and majority of press are covering new laws to protect Muslims and Jews, with the emphasis on Muslims from the VP, who is paying attention to persecution of Christians in the U.S. and around the world. For some reason, Christians are overlooked. Not only overlooked, but targeted by the current administration. Now, this threat goes all the way back to 2021. Biden says white supremacists have replaced jihadists as the most lethal terrorist threat to U.S. That was on April 28th, 2021. And it continued in 2022. Biden attacks Trump and MAGA Republicans as a threat to American democracy. He is sharpening his attacks on MAGA Republicans as the midterms loom. That was September 1st, 2022. Now, President Joe Biden is, in a rare primetime speech, considered Donald Trump and his mega Republicans as he urged the nation to unite against threats to American democracy. Now, you know there's a direct tie between Donald Trump and conservative Christians. So, in fact, Biden, by attacking Trump and mega Republicans, is really attacking what or whom? Conservative Christians. I know because I've been able to work with those mainstream Republicans, he said. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the mega Republicans, and that is a threat to this country. Now, once again, he doesn't say Christians, but what do people perceive that threat as? As all this talk about MAGA and conservative Christians being the greatest threat to democracy this nation has seen sparked the increase in violence against Christians, the fact of the matter is the White House is quick to defend Jews and Muslims, but continues to label Christians as a threat. When we look at the Nashville shooting, we uncover some interesting facts. In the press release, the Valdez Foundation for Kids said that Crowder's actions releasing the alleged manifesto, they say alleged manifesto, caused trauma to those families and communities still healing from the tragedy, who are unprepared for such an immature, out of context release is unproductive and, if dangerously destructive, in the wrong hands and to the healing and eventual learning process of the Nashville and national community. Now, what are they doing? To say this is a threat and to say that the parents of the slain children do not want to learn the truth couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, people always ask, why did this happen? What caused it and everything? And the information comes out and they do their best to bury it. And then they even have the audacity to say that they're doing it for the good of the victim's family. Come on now. Let's get serious. They're trying to hide that manifesto. The reason behind the shooting was the shooter influenced by all that talk about Christians being a threat? Was that shooter convinced they were some kind of freedom fighter defending the country? When we compare the manifesto left behind with Biden's speeches, we need to ask, was that shooter influenced by the administration, and are other people taking the same course? Are there other people with the same plans? Did that manifesto include who trained the shooter? How did they get their weapons? Who taught the shooter what weapons to get, how to load them, Come on. There's a lot of questions that still need to be asked, and why is this being covered up? Is it being covered up because the attack was on conservative Christians? And when is the administration finally going to look at the facts and see that Christians are being attacked more than the other groups they're trying so hard to protect?